In 1982, we ran a paint and body shop in this shop right here, and also had a used car lot out in the front. My little brother, who was a very avid painter, he and I worked in both areas, in both categories, and he was out doing a lot of three-wheeler racing, a lot of car and truck racing, mud racing, so forth, and he was really enjoying himself doing that. But he was turned on one day by seeing Bigfoot. And when he saw Bigfoot, and I believe it was USA 1 at that point in time, is when he became really interested in building something like this. And in 1982, this truck was under construction and being created. He actually had a full-time welder, he had a full-time mechanic, he had full-time crew. People stayed here almost 24 hours a day and built this vehicle in a short period of time just to be out in the monster truck world. He was such a competitor. He was such a great guy that everyone, I think, that could come by would come by, and they would stay even all night on Friday or Saturday nights building this creation. And with that in mind, when it was completed, it had to actually go through several phases after its completion. At one time it had tilt hoods, it had tilt bed on it in the back. It had all kinds of neat things to it. And that was really for show. Then everything started to change into the competition world, which was racing them across vehicles, doing stunts and so forth. And it was a lot of fun to go watch and do that type thing. The shows were really neat at that time. Everybody got to show off their trucks, see how cool it was. But nowadays, it's a little bit differently. I'd say it was probably in '83 that they made some changes to the truck. They took a lot of the tilt equipment off of it. They made it more feasible to race and to compete against other vehicles that were out there. And they really enjoyed themselves doing that. He's been across the nation, actually, with this vehicle, Southern Sunshine. He's been to many shows back in the day, and he was able to compete in and against a lot of the drivers that really may still have some of their trucks today, and maybe not, but they all got a chance to compete. He actually raced until 1986, in and about June of 1986, and unfortunately he had an accidental death at that point in time, and that's when this vehicle was put into storage, basically. And he really was a big-time competitor. He really enjoyed what he did. His dream is out there. He followed his dream. He did everything possible that he could do, and he really enjoyed himself doing that. And we followed him all we could. My parents were with us all the time, and we would go all across the nation and go see shows, and we really truly enjoyed it. But sadly, that came to an end, and we actually put him into this storage area. Actually, this truck was built on the ground that it sits on today. It's right here. This is where it's always been, and this is where I hope it always will be. Except maybe one day it'll go to the Monster Truck Hall of Fame. So, you know, I'd love to put them up there, and at one point in time, it may happen. This vehicle is a 1981 Chevrolet 3/4 ton pickup. That is the body. It is all steel metal. And actually the frame of the vehicle is the original frame of this truck. It was just reinforced with half-inch flat bar all the way through the frame system, and then actually built a ladder frame to get the body up so we won't interfere with the tires themselves. So really a lot of this equipment, if you look at it old school wise, this is a true truck. If we took everything off of it, I think we could drive it on the road. So it's really neat to have that type of ideas, because his creations were just remarkable. I don't know where the ideas came from. I guess you always have one brother different than the other, but he really came up with some great ideas, and they worked, and they worked great. And all we did is just enhance a 3/4 ton pickup with different axles on it and different tires and so forth. And basically a 3/4 ton came with a 454 engine in it, so that's what it has, a 454 engine. We just had to put a little soup to it there to make it exciting. Okay. Here we have the Cajun King. The Cajun King was a creation that he made after he pretty much perfected Southern Sunshine. It was created in 1984, and it did do a few shows before his passing. He really truly enjoyed this project here. This is a 1975 Cadillac, and it's sitting on 5-ton military type frame, of course reinforced with some additional areas. It's a great riding vehicle, just like a Cadillac should be. A Cadillac's supposed to ride good, right? Okay, we got Goodyear tires on it, and we really have a good time because they ride very well. Goodyear will pay for that one. But anyway, it's got one bad engine in it, and it creates a lot of horsepower. It's a lot of fun to drive. It has looks like about a 30-foot hood on it. We're really proud of this vehicle now that we have it where it needs to be, up and running and rolling, and enjoying it and having a good time with it. But Cajun King is really one of the nice monsters. It's a beautiful vehicle. Because it wasn't able to get out too much on the circuit before 1986, it did do a few shows. And thank you to some of the other drivers and so forth that actually requested that vehicle to be there, and because it was so unique. And we like unique stuff. I know my little brother liked it, doing something different, doing something really sweet, to make it really a sweet running vehicle and something that can get out there and compete too. It looked good, drives good, runs hard, just like he did. In January 2010, I was at home on a Sunday afternoon, and I had a phone call from a person out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. And this person asked me, do I know anything about two monster trucks called Southern Sunshine and Cajun King? When you get a phone call and somebody just asks you that question of something that's been in storage for 25 years or so, and then you want to know why. So I did ask him. I said, why? And he said, well, listen, he said, first of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Matt Ison from Lake Charles. I've been looking for these trucks for about 10 years. And he said that he wanted to see if they were still around or still available. And I said, well, I might quite surprise you. And I said, yes, they are still around. And he had a contact that kind of knew in Sulphur about where they were located. So what I did was, I told him, I said, Matt, I said, why don't you meet me the next day? And I told him exactly where we're located. And meet me the next day, and let me show you what I got. We came up to the shop. First of all, he got lost a couple of times, and he finally saw a trailer that had some monster truck tires on it outside, which we did have at the time. The trailer was located, and he says, well, they got to be around here somewhere. He actually went to one of the windows in the back of the shop. Now, what he did, he tried to take a picture through the window, but it was a little dusty, and I think he still has that photo of his original shot. Well, ironically, the next day, we come down here and meet up, and I opened the door, and when I opened the door, he didn't know what to say. He was flabbergasted. He absolutely couldn't believe it. He'd been on this mission for years. He was after this for such a long time and could not believe the condition of the two vehicles. I had a tarp that was covered with over Southern Sunshine, so it wasn't that dusty or that dirty, whatever the case may be. But I pulled the tarp off, and he just said, he came up and touched the truck, and he said, sweet. He said, I can't believe this. Then he started taking photos, and that starts our beginning of how our resurrection became. Matt and I started talking a little bit about, hey, we got to get these two trucks up and running, and we need to do this, and we need to do all kinds of projects and so forth. And I said, Matt, I said, I guess we'll just start after it and see. And in July, I think we completed Southern Sunshine as far as new belts, new hoses, new valve covers, new little everything, painting, doing all kinds of little freshening up, making it look good and so forth. Got it running. To have a vehicle that was actually back like it was 25 years earlier. We've been all over town with them. We've done many, many car shows with them. We've won many, many divisions. We're having a good time with them, thoroughly enjoying them. We hope at some point in time that we could do an actual car crush. They are capable very much of doing that, and but that's how the beginning came from 2010 to where we are today. They're up, ready to roll. We're very proud of them. We have all kinds of things in the works right now. I schedule out all the time for all kinds of local stuff. The sad thing is we all have jobs. We all work for a living. We all do this because of the love of the game, and we're limited somewhat on where we can go and how we can do it. But you can't have everything in life that you want. But we will keep his dream alive.